Hey, it's John Lee Dumas of EO Fire, and it's the Entrepreneurial You, the show for dedicated and passionate Caribbean entrepreneurs seeking daily inspiration, brought to you by author, speaker, and award-winning entrepreneur Heneka Watkis-Porter. You must be prepared to ignite.
So it is time for another episode of the Entrepreneurial You podcast. And I am, of course, the host and creator of the show. If you're new here, of course, I want to say to you, welcome, welcome, welcome. And if you have been listening over the past few weeks, whether just 1 week or a couple weeks or continuously, then welcome back. I am glad that you are here. Now, if you missed last week's episode, you would have missed the interesting brand story of Jamaica's first data science and AI firm, StarApple. Now, Adrian Dunkley shared the journey of StarApple's genesis and quite a number of his successes, including the recent investment from the RJ Gleaner Group. Now, StarApple is on its way to an initial public offering IPO, and we are here for it. Now, I invite you to check that out if you have not listened to it yet. Of course, after you listen this episode, and this week, you will be hearing from someone who has built a legacy from his first job hacking sheets and towels for 2 years. He worked hard, believed in his ability, and now he is a businessman. He's an entrepreneur. This promises to be another gem of an episode. Before I tell you who that is, I have some people to thank. And they continue to support the Entrepreneurial You podcast, of course, HenekaWatkis-Porter.com, the National People's Cooperative Bank of Jamaica Limited, committed to the growth and development of their members, Profit Jumpstarter, and the Jamaica Stock Exchange, whose podcast, the Jamaica Stock Exchange and You, is hosted and produced by me. So please give it a listen when you get a chance. And here's a word from the Jamaica Stock Exchange. After that, I will be introducing my guest for this week.
We needed to raise capital, but our experience with local financial institutions was that they were cautious and slow to act, and interest rates were far too high. We had real concerns about financing our business through outside equity investors and the possibility of interference. Could we get a fair valuation for our business? We had our own ideas about the business and its value. Should I go the traditional route of bank financing, or should I try the Jamaica Stock Exchange? So we made a call and experienced transformation of our business through conversations. I'm John Mafood, CEO of Jamaican Teas, and we're listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
Give us a call today at 876-967-3271 to begin your transformation through conversation. We want to see your company listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
Here is today's opening business tip, which comes from the National PC Bank of Jamaica. Invest. Investing should be an important aspect of every business. Investing in your business may include investing in yourself, which is gaining the knowledge and skills to run your business, investing in your products and services, tools and marketing to maintain and grow your business, and investing in stocks or other securities as a way to generate extra revenue to grow your business financially. Thank you so much to the National PC Bank of Jamaica. Now, the moment that you've all been waiting for. My guest on episode 273 of the Entrepreneurial You is Hugh Graham, CEO of Paramount Trading, a company he founded in 1991. Paramount has been committed to delivering the best in the raw chemicals industry ever since. Today, they are a leading manufacturer and distributor of chemical raw materials to Jamaica's market leaders, the food and beverage industry, construction, hospitality, the bauxite and mining industries, among many others. Welcome, welcome, Hugh.
It's good to be here, Heneka. Finally.
Finally, right?
Finally, I'm here with you.
Yes,
and your audience.
nothing before it's time. I'm so happy that you're here. So as a Jamaican, what do you like most?
Everything about being Jamaican. I'm a typical Jamaican, whatever that they say that look like, but I carry when I tell somebody from Jamaica, they say, yeah, they don't question it. So I have all that look of a Jamaican. In terms of the spirit and the heart of a Jamaican, so we know Jamaicans are warm people. We like to help. If you ask a direction, somebody getting excited, go down there, so turn there, so go there, so they want to get you to where you're going. So I have that spirit of helpfulness. And sometimes for the foreigners, they don't understand it. They probably think that you're trying to woo them or get close to them. But Jamaicans are very lively, bubbly, and a good heart. And I would say I have the heart of a Rastaman. So some people know what that means. The heart of love, peace and well wishes. If you're not a Rastaman, one love higher, everything cool, everything crisp. So
everything airy.
Everything airy.
No problem, man.
There you go.
There you go. All right. If you could summarize your childhood, how would you do so?
Well, I would say my childhood was great because at that time, I didn't have a comparison. And what do I mean when I say that? I probably watched Sunday evening or Sunday afternoon television after dinner when I was probably 18 years old. So growing up without a TV didn't make a difference. I didn't have one and I didn't know anyone that had one. So there wasn't a comparison. So I enjoyed that journey because I didn't have anything to compare it with. So my comparison was just around me and all my friends. We were all the same. So we were riding bicycle. At one stage you get to school, and if they stole the seat or the saddle of the bicycle, then you put cardboard on it. So the saddle is like this, and you put a piece of cardboard on it to sit down. And that was normal. It was not a wish to buy one or to get one. Yes, you hope to get to replace it. But it wasn't a depression. You just keep it moving. Asking mama for money to buy a bicycle seat, that wasn't going to happen. Right? Because she barely find money to lunch money, much less to go indulge in that. So recognizing that I was poor and all that came later. It was just a life that I was living, and this is my life.
It's interesting that every time I talk to somebody, they almost say the same thing or some variation of that recognizing that they were poor, that didn't happen until later on. And it begs the question, in the innocence of your childlikeness and all of that, what is important at that time? The fact that you have your friends, the fact that you have your family, that you can, in some instances, go to the back of the yard and pick some mango or something, Did you have mango trees and all those things growing up?
Yes, but none of which was owned by my mother or me.
So you pick your neighbors and mango, right?
Belonging to other people. And you fling stone for a mango tree. And broke people glass.
And get in trouble for that.
In trouble. So I was born on Riddles Road, 100 Lane. Grew up on Whitehall Avenue, different lanes, Cameron Lane, Ward Lane as two prominent lanes. They were tenement yard, rented property. The restriction of you having access to anything, it wasn't yours. All that belonged to you is the space that you sleep in. And the space. Everything else is for the landlord, or you go to the common, the open ground that you call common, and you have mango tree and whatever it is, and that's where if you want a mango, and then you scramble because you won't find a ripe mango. You You probably
Because
settle with a
first
green
are there
mango.
before you, right?
Yeah, green mango with some salt.
Oh my gosh, that's the best.
So, so my growing up, and I went to Solarfield all age at the time, from Solarfield Primary and Whitehall Avenue as well. So my early days walking to school, when I got to the bicycle stage, my mother used to have a bicycle. They call it ladies' wheel. Most people don't know that, but the bar of a bicycle comes across like that. But the ladies' wheel, it is a V. So it actually allows, which I learned later, for the skirt to be lifted to put across your feet. So the V was like that. So, it wasn't.
Of course,
straight.
those
So
that are listening can't see what you're doing with your hands. So, we ask that you forgive us, please.
Okay. All right. But it was like an upside down, is a V, right? So the ladies' wheel is a V, actually. I learned to ride bicycles from my mother's ladies' wheel. That was a mode of transportation. So from Ward Lane to Cassava Peace, that might have been a 15-minute ride, 20 minutes, depends on how I was feeling. Mm-hmm. So I'd ride there to pick up milk. Back in the day, I had milk in a bottle. And then to bring home before going to school. So as I said, it's just a life that I was living. This is what I had to do. You get up your sweep yard, all these things before you go.
Sounds like a typical country life, although that was Redhills, right?
Yeah,
that's what we do in the country. In town, right?
Yeah,
that was what country life was like back then. All right, so we want to now move from your childhood into the world of work, right? When you left school, which school did you transition from into the world of work?
I wasn't successful in common entrance back in the day. So I had another bite of the cherry at the grade 9 achievement, which I got through. And I went to Calabar. So in the Calabar in third form, now grade 9. So I stayed there for 4th and 5th. So I had 3rd, 4th, 5th. Graduated from Calabar, and my first job at that time was at Broadway Linen and Quilting Industry, where I went for a job for an accounting clerk. But that job was taken. So while I was waiting for my interview, the first person that went for the interview, they accepted him. So I told the lady that came out, that happened to be the supervisor, that I need a job. I can't go back home. I must work. So she said, well, you Calabar boys, you don't want certain kind of work on Redhills Road and Uptown. So I said, I need a job. Whatever you have, I will do. She said, all right, come with me. So she walked out of the office, go around to the warehouse. And she said, well, I have these sheets to pack up on the shelf. And nobody wants to go up to the top of the warehouse, where between the shelving and the warehouse. And if you think that I'm a little bit on Marga, no. Those days. Right?
I am picturing you. I'm actually picturing you.
I'm fat. No. Right? Come a little bit. See me here?
Tiny, yes.
So,
and listeners, he just put up his little pinky finger, right? Because I don't want them having my hairs. Yes.
And so I took off the tie. I think I borrowed a Calabar tie, because those are sixth form wear tie. I didn't go to sixth form. But that's all the tie that I had. Mm-hmm. And a white shirt. Probably that was like a church shirt. So I roll up the sleeve, pretend that white shirt I have now, took out the tie, and I got to work. I didn't ask how much was the salary, etc., etc., etc. Zero. It turned out that the salary was like $50 a week.
And this was what year again?
This could have been 80, 79, probably around 81, 82, somewhere in there. Right?
$50 a week.
Because I left school in 1979, so it's pretty much 1980.
All right. Remember what you're saying, but I recall when my grandmother, because she used to do household work, and I remember when she got per day they would pay her $15. I remember vividly.
Yes.
So yes,
exactly.
Continue.
So, Yeah, I remember when I got my pay, it was net about $35, thereabout. By then, as I told the lady, my supervisor then, that I couldn't go back home because my mother had issued me with an
ultimatum.
Yes, that I would have to either come to country with her because she's from St. Mary.
Yeah, the best parish.
Right, or I have to stay in Kingston and I'm on my own, but she could no longer manage. So I'm not a big man. So a friend of mine organized through his aunt, through, to get me boarded in Zeta Gardens with some people, Mr. and Mrs. Baker. And their boarding fee was $50 a week. So I'm earning $50.
And net no.
I am netting about 35, 34, thereabout. And I have a commitment of $50 a week. So, but I had no choice.
How you do it? So, let's hear it.
Well, what turned out later to be deficit financing, but I didn't know that then. That's what it was. I suppose from the get-go, Mrs. Baker liked me and she, I guess, understood my plight. So what she did was every week she accrued or accumulated the $15. And I don't know where that ended up at the end of that story, those $15. But also there's a lot of lessons as well that I learned that I appreciated later on in life. I didn't appreciate it then.
Right. So before you go into those lessons, Hugh, what I want to find out is that what would have led to that kind of mindset that you had, even at that age, that, okay, the job I interviewed or I wanted to interview for, I won't get it. Somebody else got it. But guess what? By any means necessary, I need to work and I'll do whatever it takes. As long as something that is legal, I'll do whatever it takes. What would have led to that mindset that you had at that age?
Again, looking back, it wasn't clarified.
Yeah, hindsight is always 20/20,
because
right?
I was just trying to exist. But there are some lessons. So when I went to Calabar for the first time, so my mother would have given me lunch money for the week. Mm-hmm. I don't remember how much money that was, but I don't think my mother was working maybe more than, you said $15. I had probably $7 in my mind or $8. But so she gave me lunch money for the week. So this is the first time now I'm seeing money, right? They're selling fish at the school gate in a small aquarium. So I bought an aquarium with maybe 1 or 2 goldfish in. So then I went home, mother said, where I got that from? So I said, I bought. She said, where you get money? So I said, I use my lunch money. So there was no more conversation. Come about Thursday, when I couldn't go anymore, so I asked her for lunch money. She said, I gave you lunch money. What did you do with it? I said, well, I bought the fish. So she said, well, maybe you'll have to go and eat the fish for lunch.
I knew that was coming.
Out of those kinds of lessons, as hard as they seem and they are now, they just seem to me as they were just normal. But those things, I guess, helped me to make decisions, and certainly in hindsight, and now it's as clear as a day now, while it wasn't at the time. So those things would have helped me to make decisions that I need to make. Not what I want to make, but what I
need, right? Necessity is the mother of invention.
There you go.
So you talk a lot about your mom. Was your dad in your life?
Well, he was alive then, but not too much.
So like a typical Jamaican story.
And he was there, but I was with my mother, and he was, starting another family, getting on with his thing. And maybe he didn't really have so much faith in me that I would turn out to anything. So I guess he wasn't really investing in me. I was just there. I can't say what was going through his mind. I can only give you my interpretation. So in the summer, I would go and look for him. He lived on Shortwood Lane. His family has a place there. And so I'd go and spend some time there, but it was mostly with my grandmother. So his mother. And I think she loved me very much. So when I go, whatever she's eating, whatever she's doing, I would participate. She would call me. If I'm playing, she would call me. Boy, come eat something.
Typical grandma. I'm going to pause here because when we come back from the break, what I want us to jump into, Hugh, is the Paramount story. Want to start, have a look at that. And how did you transition from the world of work into being your own boss? So let's have a review. This review came in from Dominic Brightman, and Dominic lives in the United States of America. And with regards to the Entrepreneurial You podcast, his review says, fabulous show. This is a great show that gets straight to the point and has an eclectic array of guests that deliver the goods. Listen and subscribe to this podcast to get more out of life. Dominic, I concur. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on this podcast, for taking the time not just to listen, but to go a step further by placing a review. Of course, the whole algorithm thing, it does help a lot. So I want to ask all of you listening that if you wrote a review, please send me an email at henekawatkisporter@gmail.com and let me know so that I can shout you out right here on the show. Because remember now, unless I individually go into all the various Apple stores, then I don't necessarily see your review. All right. So it means a lot when you take the time to do that. Thank you so much. And now I am back with Hugh Graham, the founder and CEO of Paramount Trading, sharing his story of childhood. And now we are about to talk about transitioning from the world of work, what inspired that into entrepreneurship. So Hugh, do tell us, because we have been waiting.
Okay. Out of Broadway, I went to work for a company, A.F. Pattinson Limited. And basically, I was just driving around the boss, Mr. Pattinson, and taking him to all these appointments that he would go to. Mm-hmm. But his business was a manufacturer's representative and commission agency business, but embedded, really selling chemicals. So promoting chemicals to the local industry on behalf of overseas manufacturer suppliers. In taking him around, having the conversation, reading the materials, then starting to go to the meetings with him, I started to understand the chemicals as what it does and the companies who use it and so on. Places like, I remember Diversity, and that's an interesting story. So I'll mention that I used to take him to and to have these meetings. But I started out because I was just driving him. So when I drive, I would drop him and I'd stay outside in the car under a tree, wait until he's finished, come out, and then so. Some time later, a company by May & Baker, a British company, that was in Jamaica doing pharmaceuticals, wanted to establish a chemical arm. So I applied for the job, got that job, and now I'm a salesman. So I'd have known the customers or some of the people who buy chemicals and so on. I was there for a while. Then come somewhere about 1987, 88, 89, when there's this whole thing, there's a recession, and there's this buzzword at the time about right sizing. Right?
I remember that.
I got laid off in that right sizing thrust, or what was happening in the world. And I was looking for work. Did this interview with the company arm of Jamaica Brothers, WinCorp, and they wanted to set up a similar thing. And what I call mash up the interview did well because I knew the industry by then, etc., etc. And they would have known me because I would have been selling to them as well. So at the end of the interview, when I was leaving, they asked, Hugh, why would you come and work for us? And that's kind of the only question I couldn't answer. So I stood there kind of transfixed. And I remember Leon Headley said to me, and why not for yourself? Because I didn't answer the thing. And I still couldn't answer. So the only thing I found is to ask if I could answer this question a little bit later because I don't have an answer right now. And he agreed. So let us say that was Thursday. So came home, Bridging, you kickball on a Saturday and you go into the them room or them house and they're talking about your week. So I told them about it. There are two friends that I had at the time, Daryl and Richard. Since then, Daryl had passed. Hope he's well wherever he is. And they said, why not? So I was out of work. I have no money. Both Daryl and Richard just came back from school abroad. Daryl brought back his car. Those days you're allowed to bring in a car if you're a returning resident or you went to school abroad. And Richard.
You mean without duty?
No, I think they paid the duty, but car imports in Jamaica was forbidden.
Oh, okay.
At that time. It's not like now.
Good. Thanks for the history. Yes.
You're only allowed to bring in a car if you earn the money abroad. Mm-hmm. Or you're living abroad, then you could bring back your stuff.
Okay, got you. Okay, continue.
Otherwise.
Okay. So they brought back their car. Right. He brought back his car.
Yeah, and Richard then asked his father-in-law to use his library, his legal library, as an office for me. So I got an office, and Daryl put up his car and took some money on it to pay the office expenses, phone bill, light bill, and so on. And I would now put in my equity, as that turns out to be sweat equity.
Right.
And that's how Paramount started. In the following week, I called Leon to say, I have answered the question to myself, and I'm going to try it for myself.
I feel like crying. I'm actually tearing up right now. Like, I have never heard a story that is so, like, it's just a simple story, but it's just so potent and powerful, friendship and the belief in you, obviously, and having the right people around you. And clearly, you were of like minds, and just having all of that in one little moment, turned out to be paramount as it is today. So.
Yeah. And I didn't even have the name of the company. Richard is the one that gave the company name. I didn't have a clue. Mm-hmm. So he says, call it Paramount.
Why Paramount? Where did that come from? Did he say?
Yeah, I learned about it later, about what Paramount really means, the pinnacle and, so paramount importance at the top, whatever. But I didn't know anything. Paramount is just a company name. Mm-hmm. And Richard is still a director, still today, after being on the stock exchange for probably 8 years. But as I said, the belief and your ecosystem, the people that support you and believe in you. Looking back, I didn't see it like this, but looking back, because they endorse it and they say, why not? Why not? Go for it.
I mean, the way it started, it sounds very easy. Like, yeah, you got some friends to believe you're in the right place at the right time. It was divine, all of that. And you've listed over about 8 years now. But what I want to get from you, because as I would have said to you in the before we came live, is that a lot of persons project entrepreneurship to be this glorious, fabulous thing, right? You're an entrepreneur. Oh, you want more time for yourself? Become an entrepreneur. You find out that you are an entrepreneur, you have no time for yourself, right? All lies and all these things. So along your journey, what has been the most daunting thing that you're saying, no, I'm not going to do this? Yes, I had the friends to support me initially, but we're here now and this is just not working out. First of all, how did the relationship continue to to grow or not? That's one. And what's your worst nightmare on your entrepreneurial journey?
So I'll give you two big things. I'll give you the smaller or the lesser of the two. Mm-hmm. So when I wanted to move from being just a salesman and getting to distribution, because I recognized that there was an opportunity. So people couldn't buy a big bulk on one container that you receive a commission from to sell the goods. Like you sell something and the company sell for give you a commission. So I wanted to buy the packages, the big pack, same way, and then break it up and sell to people who want 5 bag, 10 bag, 1 bag. I saw that as an opportunity. They didn't want to go further. They were quite happy with where we are and what we're doing. And so that was a challenge, because now I had to make that step on my own. So they agreed that if you make that step, is your step. We're topped out right here, because we're doing other things that are there. So that was the first big challenge. And everything about it was challenging, because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was getting into. I just know that I wanted to do this thing. And so to find a place to operate out of. So if you're distributing, you need to have a building. You need to have ways of, doing the thing. So I had a pickup. So I started by buying locally, 40 bags here, putting them back on my pickup and driving around and delivering 5 bags here, 1 bag there. And I would do everything myself. So I'm picking up, I'm delivering, I'm writing my invoice, I'm taking it into the office, everything. Right? Truly a one-man band or one-man show. And that's how that transition was started. Moving from there, I bought an old house. And
before that, how did it affect the friendship?
I would say it took us down half a notch, because they were good in saying we don't want to go any further at this point. Mm-hmm. We have these things doing. So if you can make that, you're on your own. So we're still friends, but you're no more of our money going to be invested in this thing. That's really what it boils down. So it was a little bit rough, because no, they don't believe in the second step. So the lean on them wasn't as great as in the first part, but they're still there, So
you get this house now.
Bought an old house.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually took it down and put up a building, which is still not finished, even today that we're speaking, from 1994 or 95. Right? So the second floor is still not on it as yet. But that gave me some space to put some goods in and distribute from. The biggest challenge overall and personally now, and not that I expected it, but this is what it is, was the one of sacrifice of family. Because working to make the company survive, build a business. By then I was married with 2 children. Just the hours. Can't afford to employ people, so I'm doing a lot. I'm getting to the office at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm sweeping up the place, make sure it's all right, it's clean for, the 1 or 2 customers that may come. Then, you're sweaty, so you have to change, your shirt, or you have a t-shirt on and thing, and then go in the office and then try to do that. And so it was really long, hard hours that wasn't in agreement with family life at home, children sleeping, can't
give the quality
do
time
what it is that
yes.
I'm supposed to do, but on the balancing side of family.
Mm-hmm.
I think that ended up contributing to the separation, which ended up into a divorce. So I would say that in one, if I'd say one thing, that would have been the biggest sacrifice that was paid.
Yeah, and it's a huge thing. And so for persons that are listening and, they're intent on becoming entrepreneurs and, that's their desire, I just want for you to reflect and just think about the sacrifice that is necessary, that if you're going to win, there are a lot of sacrifices that will have to be made. Are you willing You know, I mean, not every story ends this way, because sometimes you have entrepreneurs and they have partners who will be a part of the business in a very upfront way and stuff. And it may be different. It's not the same for everybody. Let me just put that there. But the truth is, there is a lot of sacrifice that has to be made, particularly at the very beginning of the journey, right? When you're building. So not scaring you away, but just note that it's not an easy road. Yeah. See the glamour and the glitz and them think of better roads, but who feels it knows. All right. So we talk about the challenge and stuff, but we know that there are moments of success and joy that this journey brings as well. And so I'd love for you to share with us, Hugh, what has been the highlight for you on this journey of entrepreneurship?
No, my biggest highlight is what I'm enjoying now. And persons who know me or know of me might think it's the cars because I'm a lover of cars. But it's really not. It's really not. I am not discounting it. I'm not saying it doesn't make me feel good when I sit in a car and I drive or go on a driving experience and you're driving at 156 or 70 miles per hour. Not discounting that at all. But what I'm really enjoying, especially now, is this, the ability to share my journey, to share my story, and hope that someone can get something from it that can help them along the way. That is where I'm at peace. So when I go to bed now and I can't sleep, I'm thinking about what I'm going to say. So I have a devotion, which I've started maybe as old as Paramount, 31 years ago. A devotion every Monday morning or the beginning of the week, say Monday's holidays or Tuesday. It has developed where I get to speak to my team, my family, and encourage and motivate, and even just the challenges that they have. So one of it is recent ones about struggle, because people believe that struggle ends somewhere. And I'm like, well, I don't know. But looking back, I've been struggling since I have sense. There's just different struggles. And I'm still struggling because I'm now struggling with the company to move it from where it is to another place. So for example, I just onboarded a digital strategist. So it's a new journey again, like when I started a warehouse. Because coming from COVID, some lessons learned is that you really need to end up into this digital space that allows us to have this same kind of conversation we're having. So it's another step, and to bring people with you and to share the vision with them and to try for them not to feel nervous about it, that they're going to lose their job or you're going to replace somebody and they would have to be repurposed and retrained and And the fear. So it's a whole new journey for me, because I don't go to school. I don't go to school to learn these things. Man, for just read and follow people and take suggestion and advice from other people who say, this is how you do it, So people are pouring into me and I'm pouring into some other people, if you want to look at it like that.
Yeah. Reciprocity, right? So you talked about motivation, and you're doing that in so many ways. You're doing it at the office with your family there, and you're doing it by different platforms, going on different platforms, not just in Jamaica, but overseas as well. You're also Northwestern St. Catherine MP, and that in a way is also part of a platform to motivate and inspire others through your very own lifestyle. Share a little about that, and why is it so important for you?
At some point, it struck me that God has been good to me, and Jamaica really is a good place for me, and it has been good because I haven't lived anywhere. See, I traveled, but I haven't lived anywhere. And for the goodness that it has delivered to me, I need to do something that is very difficult. So I need to go in an absolute change. And the opportunity came to investigate politics to see what that is about.
Investigate politics.
Investigate it. Because I thought politicians just chat all heap and never do nothing. True. So I met who turned out to be a friend, Bobby Pickersgill, on the tennis court. I had no interest. And I was talking to him about politics and why politicians chat so much. And I don't see what they're delivering. And he invited me to come to the constituency on a tour with him when he was going. So I went, and when I saw how people respond and the needs of the people and lunch money, and some basic things that I thought was easy fixes for me. So I started just helping people, with school and homework and connecting them with some people that I have, some friends that want to help but don't know how to help. And especially young children, like fifth former, sixth former. No, they're adults, but back then they were considered young children. And, they wanted to do the physics and chemistry and math, and it was so hard. And I had some people around me that they were teaching these things. So making those connections and helping them. And I got quite a joy out of it. And when they passed and they got the ones and the A's and, and their parents, so happy. And that is actually what pulled me into the politics. It really not the politics that pulled me. It was
what politics ought to be about that pulled you.
Help, right?
There you go.
So even though I have issues, because I really still not, and people say I shouldn't say it, but I have to say it, I'm not interested in the politics. I'm interested in the people. So, if you would say, why are you not running for this or doing that? Or the work that I want is with the people. And I'm fine with where I deliver for them, and I'm good. I don't know what tomorrow is going to be, but today, and maybe if I get a bigger platform that I can deliver more for them, fine. But today, that's what I want to do.
I love it. You're at peace. You're doing what you love. You have a team growing the business. Just tell us a little. Talk to the shareholders a bit before we go. Just talk to them. What you want to tell them?
Buy. Now is the time. Buy.
Not investment advice, my listeners.
No, but I'm talking to my shareholders because right. I'd be lying to them if I told them to sell. Because if I just onboarded what I just said, a digital strategist, that would be for a reason and the next frontier to just digitize Paramount to make it as a digital footprint. So not as a technological company, but to use technology in every aspect of the company that technology can be used for. So every human repetitive thing, so not just for the accounting, but for production, for customers, all that access that give customers access to Paramount and don't have to sit down and wait on someone to answer the phone and have the phone ringing 10 times and having a customer frustrated. For example, it sounds simple, but it happens. You don't know how much business you lose from that. How many people hang up the phone and kiss them teeth, but it's to give those persons access so that they don't need to go through that frustration. They have full access to what they need. So for me, that's a big jump, a big thing. And it's not really an event, in my view. It's a process. So I'll do a little bit. If you follow like Formula One, so I like racing. Back in the day, in 1960s, and instead of pulling off a wheel of a car, it takes them probably 10 minutes. No, it is taking like 2 seconds, 3 seconds, because all that has changed. Instead they have 4 lug nuts, you have just 1 nut. So that transition, that's what I imagine for digitization of Paramount, where you make something simpler and more efficient and give the customer full access to what you have. So it should equal growth. That's what we think.
Absolutely. Well said. How may persons contact you if they want to be inspired by you or just to reach out and say, hey, good job?
Yeah, so there's Paramount. It's a listed company, so you can get through the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Also, Paramount has a website, so you can get through the Paramount Jamaica website. The phone numbers 876-923-0135. That's a phone number. And the email, you have Paramount at Paramount. So anything Paramount gives you full access to me, to Paramount, to products, the services, to all that we do, and for whatever contribution that I can make, advice, it might not be smooth and not be easy, because I really try to use every minute as I can to invest in others, not just in myself. So I don't want to sound cliche that I'm busy, but my sleep time is still very little bit minimal. Last night I went to bed after 12, going to 1. The night before is 2 o'clock. I'm up at 6. And I also
I'm sorry, but we're gonna have to find a way to make that better. We're gonna have to do that.
And I also have to feed myself in terms of not just food, because I try to eat healthy, but do my exercises, get into the gym, because it's a holistic approach, mind, body, and I need a time when I can just disconnect, to clarify, to reconnect.
Yeah, to be at peace with your thoughts and at one with your thoughts. Yes, necessary.
But access is there.
Access is there.
Just be a little bit patient.
Like I was.
Access is there. Access is there. There you go.
All right, Hugh Graham, founder and the CEO of Paramount Trading. Of course, the publicly listed company. Hugh, it has been a pleasure speaking with you, hearing your story. It has hit me, very deep, right? And just listening to you and how you plan and are already paying it forward. Love that. Love it.
So thank you. And thank you for being patient with me. And you did not give up on me. And that's serious. This is not an advertisement, but it's from my heart. You didn't. And I'm here now. And I would just say to others, don't give up on me if you try to reach out to me. It's not that I'm sitting idly or I have an ego that is guiding me, because I don't even think I have one. But it's really just making each day count and try to live up to the pledges and promises that I give to others. Be patient. It will happen. And I'm happy to share. And even just answer questions, even more specific questions in terms of how did I do this, or how this was done.
Right. Love that. Love that. All in the fullness of time. Thanks again, Hugh. And here is today's money tip brought to you. So earlier we brought you a business tip. Now we have a money tip, right? Although the business tip was actually kind of a money tip, right? But here goes. Today's money tip brought to you by Profit Jumpstarter is invest for the long term. Investing is for the long term. Buy good, solid investments that will pay off over the long run, and be sure to ignore short-term fluctuations. Patience is key when investing. Never think about short-term or quick gain. So there you have it. Thank you, Profit Jumpstarter. Wow. What a time we've had. I had an interesting conversation. You'd admit as well that we had an interesting time just talking with Hugh Graham, and he shared his childhood experiences. And what for me stood out in this episode was really the genesis of Paramount, how it started, by just that interview that he went, and he was given the opportunity to reflect on why he wanted to work with that company. And he never had an answer then. And so he went home, thought about it, shared it with friends. He had persons who were, in that space that he could share and that he could lean on. And that there are just so many lessons coming from that. The value of connecting and with people who are of a like mindset as you and of a growth mindset, just didn't say, we're not sure about this business thing. Just go and go work for somebody else, Somebody else may have given that advice, and it's not necessarily that it would be bad advice, but the thing that he really wanted to do, which was in his heart to do, he would have placed it on hold. Who knows? Maybe perhaps down the road, he would have at some point decided, you know what? I really want to do my business for myself. But But from the very get-go, he had a support system, and that was fantastic. We saw where that landed him today. Paramount is a publicly listed company. So yes, big up to good friends. Yeah, we give gratitude and thanks for those friends and persons, mentors that are in our lives that will give us good advice when we need it. So that was my standout moment. I'd love to hear your standout moment. Please send your feedback to Heneka Watkis-Porter at gmail.com or on social media at Heneka Watkis-Porter. Remember, please follow this podcast on your favorite podcast app or connect with me for all things podcasting at HenekaWatkis-Porter.com. And when you go there, you will see the WhatsApp icon. You can send me a message that will come directly to my phone. And this week, according to the scripture says, and my God will meet all your needs according to his glorious riches in Christ Jesus. And that's Philippians 4, verse 19. What good?